Hey guys, I've had a few requests to tell my story about how I got my house, so here I am. Remember that you can change your mindset and you can do anything you set your mind to. So if you want something, believe you already have it and it will be there. But you also have to do a lot of work. It's not just gonna come, out of thin air, but it is in a way. And that's where the surprises are. It's like magic. This started 2 years ago after I left my ex-husband. I was homeless, sleeping in cars, sleeping in tents because I didn't have a car or anywhere, and I didn't have money to go get a house. I didn't have, you know, no 3 times the rent of a $1,500 apartment because that's ridiculous. So I was pretty trapped, I felt. Really didn't know what to do. Didn't know if I'd make it. Thought I'd have to move back home, which I did not want to do because I don't believe that you should go backwards too much when it comes to your independence. I think you should try to remain as independent as possible until the time that you truly do need help. It's kind of like you don't want to exhaust all your resources before you actually need them. But it started out, I talked to this older gentleman and he told me, why don't you just go out and look for a house? I was like, how do I start, And he was like, well, I think you just drive around, and see if you can find somebody who's willing to work with you. I was like, okay. So it started out all fine and dandy. I was going down each side road I could find. The first road I went down was Love Road because I figured if I'm going to find a home, you might as well find it with love, right? And I did find a house there that I really liked, but it was not meant to be because someone bought it right as soon as I had found it. So I searched for about 2 or 3 months, going down every single back road I could possibly find in the county that I actually wanted to be in and that I could afford. And that also was far enough away from the riffraff so I could focus on bettering myself and also getting my daughter back because she wasn't able to be with me because I was homeless, and I ain't gonna do that. So I searched and searched, and I found houses, and I would find a house that I really loved. I would research the owner of the house on it's like a property data map that you can look at on your government website, and it will show you the properties. You look up an address, a particular address, and it will give you the owner history for the past however long it's been in existence. So I would find the owner, and usually would give a phone number and sometimes their actual new address that they reside at. And if it had a phone number, I would call and leave a voicemail. And if it didn't have a phone number, I would write a letter. And in that letter, I would discuss about how much I truly loved their house, and that I would take care of it, and I would remodel it out of my expense if they would not bother me and not charge me a ton of rent. And I got denied about 8 times. And in those 8 times, I got really discouraged. Like, I really felt like I was gonna never find anything. But never say never, because I didn't give up. I was sitting in the bathtub one day, and I was crying, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. And finally, it clicked. I can change my mindset, and I can do anything I set my mind to. And it's ridiculous for me to think that I can't get what I want. So I kept trying. I went down this road multiple times, so many times, and I thought I had captured all the side roads off of that road. And I didn't know what to do, so I just started following the hawks and the moths. Because hawks, they lead you places. They're independent. They're strong. They can see things from a distance that we can't. And moss grows where good things are. And if there's moss and hawks, that must be where I need to go. I wanted a house that was big enough, and I wanted a house that was livable, somewhat. I wanted a dead-end road. I wanted to be able to be naked at my house, and also I wanted to have well water, because that's best for you. Because say no to fluoride. Anyways, and it come down to it where I kept pushing, and I followed the moss, and I followed the hawks, and finally one day I turned down this road, and it looked like a driveway, but I was like, I don't really care. And I look over and I see my house, and I was like, that's my fucking house. And I drove up a little further in the road, and I looked inside the house through the trees, and I seen directly through, like, I knew there was no furniture in there, and I knew it was empty, and it was just sitting there. So there's no trespassing sign, so I didn't go in to the driveway. I just sat there, and I manifested that. I didn't want to look any further. I wanted the house that I was seeing before my eyes, and no one was going to stop me. So I ended up researching the owner. I wrote a letter, and I put every ounce of my essence into that letter because I was being truthful. I truly wanted to make someone's home that they love enough to keep and turn it back to the original form and give it a life again, because I did not like seeing these houses just fading away. They were good houses. So a couple weeks later, I thought that it was done and I wasn't going to get a reply, but then I finally got a phone call, and he told me that he wanted to give me a chance and we would meet up in a couple of months. And I was like, oh, that's a long ass time. 2 more months. If I didn't think I would be able to handle that, so I just asked him if I could go visit the house and take a look around, and he said yes. So a couple of days later, it was a Wednesday, and I got this feeling inside me, and this feeling was like, sorry, I got itchies. This feeling was like I had to go there at that moment. So I took off work, and I borrowed somebody's car, and I drove to the house by myself, and lo and behold, when I pull in the driveway, there was the owner of the house assessing it. But she had said that it would take a couple of months because he wanted to make sure it was livable and all that stuff. Well, there it was. I manifested that. And when I met him, I told him it was perfect, I wanted it, and I wouldn't do anything to harm it. I would keep my word. And he understood that I was being honest, and he could feel my essence, my drive, and the power I felt inside to get what I desired and what I needed. And he said, okay, I'll give you a chance. And he ended up giving me the first month for free because it needed a lot of work. I ended up getting super cheap rent. And 2 years later, it's remodeled. I remodeled it on a $6,000 budget, which, it's not like perfect, but it's perfect for me. So now I'm enjoying my day. But the end moral of the story is that you can find a house. You don't have to spend all this money. If you are a trustworthy person and you're not going to lie and destroy someone else's property and disrespect it, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get what you want. But if you're gonna lie about it and kind of half-ass it, and you're like, yeah, I'll do it, but then you're like, nah, it's fine, or you don't do what they say. Some people don't want it upgraded all the way, don't do that. Just make it original. Go back to where it was, make it livable, and you can have your dream home, and you don't know what can happen. They might sell you the house. They might, who knows? But you're not going to know until you try. And that's my story. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And I just hope you all have a good day. Thanks.